Remember when I engaged all of them, those who were there, the directors, I told them, don't attempt to bribe me. If you attempt to bribe me, I will let the police pick you. I told them. Because I feel, we live in a country where the business committee, some of them think that there's a price tag on every politician. Now, when we did this, I said, we're going to do a very fair, honest job, but wait until the minister comes. Because I was a deputy minister. When Dr. Gabriel was finally vetted and sworn in, I put this before him.
I was in movie Biakwa na yam found Mega TV and platform we eso. Na yinim de ekoso ewo Ghana. The dollar to the cedi no, in fact, she say adecha de osinbia no na che dollar no ena na homode eko form na cedi ne so eyeden ejina ne nan so. Na abusiafo we ena afrafranto yewra alakwaju chairman, that is movement for change. The member baako ayefre no Lawyer Appiah Danquah echire mu kase ne MPP fo ye ne de sebi e wo so mu kan kware because anye baby anye dollar no onu nkase ni nane oni tiri anye osoro ya na so tiye na mum ye wo pretest binom ye wo nkofo binom mu hye kira omu ye de omu work on that you rakise atoforce and the other people, the governor no and the other people related to that and omuya dollar no and then ahodi akofoma cedi no ejina ne nan so nti omonka no munsi ni pi se NDC for enomuya edwuma no sanso na yewa mutala wacha se mutala so NDC ni MP no no so de sembi atodwa akasa se we na cedi ne strength against the dollar rate no na amempese meka se bebre ni ebekọ yakwa kuti enseni emu enchiri mu ankasa na yakoba yedina kai na ebeto aso ewe yem platform we so mesro so do comment betum na wa like dumadi na wa share na foforo anyi bia hwe hanom you are number one authentic platform Mega TV. You go so serve the best of news yanko na yinti enseni bi yakoba binna kai na ebeto aso yemfanchia emu bibia yinti enseni bi yakoba yemfa credit nso emma Pan Africa TV, Alleged and Alleged show. What you say, Sena the show no. Abusia for yinti nseni bi yakoba yebetwa so ediamo.
Remember when I engaged all of them, those who were there, the directors, I told them, don't attempt to bribe me. If you attempt to bribe me, I will let the police pick you. I told them. Because I feel, we live in a country where the business committee, some of them think that there's a price tag on every politician. Now, when we did this, I said, we're going to do a very fair, honest job, but wait until the minister comes. Because I was a deputy minister. When Dr. Gabriel was finally vetted and sworn in, I put this before him. And he said, look. And I suggested what we could do, and he agreed that we formed a task force to do an independent investigation. Because the allegation was that they were bringing the rice through the Lubo border, Togo and other borders. Without paying the necessary taxes, they can come in there. And the big rice importers, they bring them through the ports. So the state can assess, they can pay the required taxes. But those small rice importers, they can go and bring the rice from Ivory Coast and Togo million times, even a year. You could not access. Do you know the one I made to lead the investigation? Kofi Kapito. And that was the time Kofi Kapito was on NDC government. You remember? Attacking, I used Kofi Kapito. I used some selected journalists, including Peace FM and others. We provided money for them. When they went to those borders, engaged in it as if they themselves were bringing in the rice, when they came, Kofi Kapito, if wherever he is, he's listening, the report was that we should not lift the ban. No, are you getting it? We shouldn't lift the ban. And I said, look, and I remember Kofi Kapito, I'm an MPP person. A lot of the people who are engaged in the small rice importers, they are people. But please, for the sake of this country, don't lift the ban. And that was the reason why we maintained the amount of money we were spending for the purposes of importing rice into this country around, and poultry products around 500 million. The moment this government came, you know what they did? They didn't come out and announce that we are lifting the ban, but they told them, go ahead and bring in these products. Okay. So it is saturated. So they can, and they get them very cheap. When they bring them, the local rice cannot even compete. So the one who is heading an institution feels that, okay, if I buy from the importer at a cheaper rate, and maybe perhaps because corruption and the MPP appointees were like a Siamese twins, they feel that, okay, let's get this, and they buy them at a cheaper prices at the expense of the locally produced rice. So I'm saying that it is not a fluke. I'm not saying I want to start jubilating over this. No, I'm not that type who says let's jubilate over it. But we should all be happy, even if it is by accident, that our city is appreciating NPP for the first time demonstrate that patriotism which you rather hypocritically added in your name as new patriotic party, yet there isn't a scintilla of patriotism in you. As long as that patriotism doesn't inure to your benefit, you cannot be calling yourself new patriotic party using the word patriotic. Yet when there is enough ground for you to demonstrate that patriotism, you are indeed being anti-patriotic. You are against the progress of this country, and you are so hurting that you do everything. Apart from the communicators, you have your leading members. When the party is in opposition, as they sit today, they don't have a presidential candidate. The leadership in parliament are the leaders of your party, including your national executive, and all of them are saying that don't give NBC any credit for what we have achieved. It is because of Donald Trump's tariffs imposition on things. Yet Nigeria, which is the biggest trading partner, the dollar is not doing well. The naira is not doing well. Our city is doing well. So I expect my brother, maybe perhaps when it comes to his turn, he would apologize to the people of this country on behalf of the NPP and tell them that maybe perhaps they didn't know, they will go and sin no more. So I'm not saying that we are there yet, but I am very optimistic that His Excellency the President should ensure that no appointee goes against his directive of important, particularly these very important state institutions, buffer stock, school feeding, NADMO. They should not. If they are not able to do that, and I can tell you, we will be able to sustain this and perhaps bring the dollar down. I am very convinced about that. Okay. Because there are a lot of things, Senna, we are spending a lot of money importing that we have the capacity to do. Produce, okay. Honestly, and the president has demonstrated that time beyond number. Okay. So I expect my brothers and co, for the first time at least, they should demonstrate some level of patriotism. Thank you, Mr. Minister. If you just join us, the matter of all talk shows, Alaji and Alaji, of course, we are discussing whether or not the current performance of the city can be maintained. Because you've mentioned the MPP and you've even brought in Sabo. I know he's subjective. I mean, yes, honestly, so I expect him to be. So I'll bring in Sabo for his views on this. Good morning. Thank you very much. Nice to see you this morning. My landlord wanted to corner me. But it was my landlord in the normally, I find it difficult. I mean, discussing politics with him. I think whoever knows him, especially school days, will attest to the fact that I mean, it didn't matter whether you are related to him or not. The most important thing is do the right thing, and then you are good to go. In fact, we didn't know each other from anywhere. We only met in school, but till we left school, I cannot even single out something that he has ever done to me that I would say that I will need an apology or it's a bad experience. However, I don't know why he's where he is. So he started rather calmly, but I knew that he wasn't going to land well. Like you said, you don't know why he's where he is. So I tell my friends that if political parties were to be on limit, yeah, I should be an MPP. Yeah. My grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the UP tradition, Yakub Tali. Yeah. You know, they named the Tamale Airport, which we shall be changing. We have to change it absolutely. It has nothing to do with family. Your grandfather. No, but Masa, why? I'm saying that If you are naming something and the Yana and many other people have problems with it, you never consulted and never. No, he has. In fact, NX. Yana, no, as a matter of fact, he expressed it. So I'm saying that. So if it has to do with Lini, but you see, Sabo, the moment I started growing up and I developed the habit of reading, but we are reading about Ghana's political history. The more I read about the political history of this country, the more I distance myself from the UP tradition.
Please go ahead.
And I want you to do same. There are some books I will make available to you.
I will appreciate that. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to my co-panelists, the Don and then Lawyer. Lawyer, I beg, today we are not going to discuss law. Because in fact, Daddy, I didn't find comfort within my listen. So we are not going to any law this thing. So now your good self, and then your crew. Well, like he said, we found with you. I don't think there will be a Ghanaian who will not be happy for the good performance of the city, because we all stand for Ghana, and it is in the interest of Ghana that we can all move ahead. And for that matter, it doesn't matter who's in the driving seat. The most important thing is that Ghana should be in a very good shape to compete with the rest of the world on the international market. So, and for that matter, that one, of course, we are happy. Quite apart from that, the city that I have in my pocket, I don't think somebody will take control of it when the dollar comes down and I'm able to buy what I could not buy yesterday. So that one, yes, nobody has any reason to it. But of course, it is always good that we establish the facts. And quite apart from that, even as we speak now, what we are enjoying now, we want it to continue for a very long time. And we can only do so when we stick to the facts. But when we close our eyes to the facts, definitely we'll go back to where, yes, we came from. So, and the Dogombes, have it is that speaking the truth, hurts. But it pays when you are able to establish the facts. So I think, for me, the city as we speak today, on one breath, the government will normally tell us that they've just been ushered into office. And some of the things, it will take a longer time for them to get themselves on a very good distance. And on another breath, they will tell you that want something positive. For that one, that is them who are doing that, without even giving any credit. Like my brother was saying, that at least we should, of course, if you do something good, why not give you the credit? I think on this platform, several other instances that I have actually commended the sitting president, especially with the way he did his appointment. I said, yeah, this is the way we want a leader to go. Yes, let the people would know that it pays to be honest, to be hardworking, and then, of course, to be committed to the cause of what they call it, progress. So if he was able to go on that path, why not praise him? And today, in fact, if he comes out with good policies that will enhance our economic development, unless maybe you are a witch or a wizard, that you will say that where we are heading will not end well. We will all pray. And quite the truth is like calabash on the surface of water. Regardless of how long you suppress it, submerge it, when you get tired, you leave it and to come back to the surface of the water. So you can never hide the truth. Yes, you can only play with it for some time. So I think if you look at the performance of the cities, you cannot say that there's no any global effect on it. You cannot say that it's an isolated case of Ghana. It is the city that is performing strongly against the dollar, and the dollar is where it has been. Yes, if we were making comparison Nigeria and the rest, yes, I agree. The largest trade partner of Nigeria is America. What about Ghana? Today as we speak, per the records, China is our largest trade partner. Am I right? Yes, per the records, if you check, that is how it is. And if China is actually trying to subdue the American dollar, and most of the goods that we buy it from China, definitely our city will seem to be performing better. That's one angle. The other angle too is that this government, yes, it has just come. I think most of the ministries, they are still doing auditing. to make sure that they get things right before they can continue with existing contracts and then now even sign on to new contracts. And for that matter, government expenditure is still very low. Government has not started spending. And when that thing also happens, definitely it will give some oxygen to the city and make the city look good. Until you begin to spend, you begin to pay contractors and others. Then that one too, you will now begin to see the strength of the city.
Senna, I'm not cutting in, but you know that this is the time the dollar goes higher when people are going to Hajj. You know that.
No, that no, is.
But you
I agree with you. Yes, yes, ideally.
But yet it's coming down.
No, it is coming down. That's what I'm saying. Because of the external effects,
chain of thoughts
that we have. Because even in Hajj, whatever whatever that we are paying, they normally relate it to dollar and then exactly. So and it has gone through Saudi and the rest of. So definitely it will have this. In fact, that just reminded me something. I think. We are hoping and praying that our brothers and sisters who have just gone to perform the Hajj, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take them safely and bring them back safely. And those who are yet to get the opportunity to get there, may Allah make it easy for them, inshallah. So like I was saying, so we are all, in fact, like, I don't know, I will want this to continue for a very long time, that the city should find itself, far above water level, so that we can also be able to do some, projects that we've been praying to do all this while, and other things. So, Senna, that one, yes, that is one of the this thing. And then the gold reserve. They normally say we shouldn't talk about it, but it is a fact. I think we all agree that gold is a store of value. Yes, a value that does not depreciate, and even with time it rather appreciates, and what have you. And of course, the quantum of gold that we had or now reserve, and today what we have, of course, far outnumber what we used to have. And for that matter, it has added value to our currency, because I'm not a finance person, but I'm told that most often than not, the currency of a state or whatever is also normally determined or backed by these kind of commodities in their stock. So, and for that matter, yes, that one is also giving us some sort of comfort to make the city look better than other currencies and what have you. And of course, the comparison between Nigeria and Ghana too, the point is that, of course, the economic policy of Nigeria and that of Ghana definitely are not the same. Their trade zone and our trade zone, also like he rightly established, are also not the same. Yes, so, and if maybe we were to be having some kind of direct trade relationship with Nigeria, which is very small, of course, not that big. Like I wanted to say, like in the past, it was very big. But today, with the advent of China and the rest, we have diverted most of the this into China. If it's even worth it traveling that 12 hours journey, am I right, to China to go and buy some products than to just walk to Nigeria to go and buy those products in terms of profit margin that I'm talking about. So we have increased our destiny in China and the rest. So all these things are factors that we should be looking at. I am saying so because, of course, yes, today say NDC that is in power. But even when we are to come back to power, we want the economy to look good, so that when we also take over, it will be much easier for us. Of course, the president was also caught on another breath, saying that, in fact, the whole country was turned into a crime scene. Did he say economic crime scene or just a crime scene? Am I right? Yeah, that crime scene. And because that economy is very bad and whatever. And all of a sudden, that, bad economy has gained strength to recover that much and then at such a faster rate. Definitely, it will also, if you understand finance very well, it will tell you that, of course, some of the, facts were not well presented by the current president to the Ghanaian people. And people who understand finance very well will best explain this particular phenomena more than I would do. Yes, so if you bring all these things together, you agree with me that, indeed, the previous government put certain things in place. And if you observe, this gold for oil, I stand to be corrected. But I don't think it's up to 2 years when this thing was established. I don't know. I stand to be corrected, but I don't think it's up to 2 years.
No, it was more than 2 years.
It's more than 2 years. Okay. But yes, but as we speak, it's still growing. From the time that it was established up to now, even with this current government, I think something has been added onto the reserve again. And indeed, it means that going into the future, if you continue, and I believe that is what has now been turned into good board, that our brother Sami Jamfi is heading, and the rest. And of course, if due diligence are done within that particular office, then I strongly believe that this trend may be, even if the dollar should gain its strength or its feedback, but the city will not go like the way it used to go. We'll find ourselves somewhere, and then. But if all these things are not well managed, and we allow for lack of better words, for the government to drain the one that we have now, then definitely we'll go back to square one again. And Senator, I also want to believe that the city is also is also doing well. It's not only China that's isolation in this particular matter. Other European countries are also having issues with the dollar as we speak today. And you also agree with me that it was like, I don't know whether it is by law or it was just by coincidence, that the whole world, whoever want to go beyond its borders to go and then do business, has to get the dollar to be able to do international transactions.
No, it was America. They did that using oil with Saudi in the 70s.
Oh, okay. And I think with what China is doing now, we are likely to get out of this bondage. But maybe now, even when you are going to China, you can now use the yuan rather right from Ghana to China to go and do your distance. I think it also brought down, to the managers of our countries, how best they can agree for us to be able to make the dollar be restricted to America and not imposed on us. Even today in Ghana, when people are going to rent, there are some areas like Airport Hills, East Legon, and the rest. When you are to rent, they quote it in dollars, and even sometimes they demand you to pay in dollars to them, not in dollar term, but in physical dollars to them. Yes, I think we should also commend Bank of Ghana with the kind of policy that they have brought, that you cannot just come and just withdraw dollar just like that. I think you need to state, though the money is yours and the rest, but for the sake of the country, for us to be able to tame the dollar and the rest, I mean, you need to let the state know why you want to withdraw such huge sums of money, and in dollar descent to go out. If the business is to be done within Ghana, I don't think that would be a problem. But if you are taking the money outside Ghana, definitely it will have a telling effect on the city. So that control this, and I think yes. But nonetheless, the black market, I don't know how they are going to control those people too. Because if all these beauty things are done and the black market is allowed on its own to continue to operate, then there will be a very huge leakage in this particular regards. That means that though the government might have been doing its best, but the black market operations will have drained all the effort that the government will have put in place to make sure that the city gains its strength. So what we are telling them is that it's not that we have not given recognition to the appreciation of the city, but nonetheless they should also give us the credit for putting those structures in place for them to have comfort in it to actually. In fact, may the soul of Professor Fifi, is it? Atamils, rest in peace. I remember in Kasua, there was a particular rally that they were doing, and somebody had to talk about this economy. And he was saying that sometimes you need about that using all the 3 years to prepare the tarmac. That was like an airport. They have now finished with the takeoff is an easy listen. And today, and you just come within 4 or 5 months, you are able to prepare and you have even taken off. And you believe the tarmac was not already prepared for you to come and take off. You came and met a good tarmac. That's why we are able to take off immediately. But we are praying that you're able to pilot us far so that there will not be forced landing anywhere.
Inshallah, there won't be any problem.
So now I want to assure my brother that we are all rejoicing in the good performance of the city for now. But they should also listen to us when we are saying that these are some of the things that, because if you want to know the road ahead, ask those who come in. We are coming from where you are going, and we are telling you that this is how it is, this is how it is. Just listen to us, and then also see how best together we can manage this country. I've always said that whether it is NDC, it is NPP, or it is Afra-Franto, I hope I've mentioned. To Frank, I'm not going to come. So when I want to mention it in the account, thank you. Yes, whether it is Afra-Franto, and you are truly. The way my father is laughing, I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. No.
That's deliberately.
No. It's thank you. And forgive me if indeed I didn't pronounce it well. You see, whether any of these parties are in power and we are true Ghanaian, I don't see why you should be candid enough to speak to the facts. And then, because it's like a sailing boat. If you deceive the pilot and the pilot do not navigate well, all of us, if anything is going to happen, it will happen to all of us. Today, it will affect even more than him. Even me the consumer, it will even affect me more than he, the manager, and the rest. But it is for the good of the country. And I think, I strongly believe that both my brother and the Don, they wouldn't be happy if today MPP is not able to perform again as an opposition party. They wouldn't be happy. Because it gives Ghanaians the best of governance.
We are praying you resolve your infight.
Oh no, inshallah, we have resolved it already. Inshallah, we will not say that there have not been problems. Of course, the government have a saying that if you have a sickness and you do not announce it, definitely you will never find its cure. So yes, we agree that there are problems within the party, but inshallah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are almost at the end of the whole distance, and will come out much stronger than before. But in conclusion, because I'm not a finance person, and sometimes I don't like to stay long where I'm not all that familiar with, especially the way the Don is just looking at me at the corner of his eye. I don't know what he's going to say. So, in conclusion, yes, we are happy that the city is doing well as we speak, and it is not the sole effort of this government that the city is performing as it is performing today. In fact, it actually stems out from the policies and programs that the previous government put in place. And and quite apart from that, don't forget that we are still doing the IMF distance. We are still not out of the distance. So that one is also giving us some sort of cushion against the dollar and other things. So until we are out of all these things, then we can now see that whether indeed what this current government is also putting in place is potent enough to propel the city to the heights that we all desire it to be.
Are you happy?
Great. Thank you. Thank you. No, very happy. I wish the dollar can even come up to 1 cedi.
I will try and call Mama Pat.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Mama Pat was not against the depletion of the dollar. I don't think. Maybe you are getting it that way. Mama Pat at all.
Thank you very much. Just two things. One, gold for oil policy is no longer running.
Yes.
But I think what you were trying to refer to was the gold purchase program that was being done by the Bank of Ghana.
Yes.
I think now they are reverting to the
gold for oil. This is what I want that our chance establish
to siphon money from this country.
It gave birth to the gold.
It was a fraudulent thing. It was a fraudulent thing.
No. But if we have said
this is the man of all talk shows, Alhaji. And of course, we are live from the studios of Pan-African Television. We are discussing the matter of the cedi's performance against the dollar, whether it is sustainable. I'll take the thoughts of Lawyer Appiah Danquah before I go to Nia Boyanan. Lawyer.
Yeah, so let me wish you a good morning. It's always a pleasure to be in my. He doesn't like to be called honorable. I call him honorable. Honorable's company. I haven't seen that done in a while. I was hoping that today at least he will change from white to off-white. But I see he's very faithful to the white. Maybe he balanced it with the black.
But I know guys like white bars.
Everybody likes white.
For them, they are traditional.
Most of at my house, we are supposed to only wear white.
It was just
even with funerals.
You wear white.
We wear white.
Why are you supposed to wear only white?
We are like from a house of rabbis.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
It's just
White is good.
one man tried to bastardize white, otherwise white. That'll be another discussion. That'll be a discussion at the end. So don't worry, no law issues. We talk everything. Anyway, and wish your lovely viewers a good morning. I think we are excited, myself included. In fact, I think it was just about the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks when I realized that the dollar was. So I went to Kumasi, and then an auntie of mine, who is a businesswoman, she's in Germany, gave orders that they should go and sell all her euros, no, not dollar, all her euros. Otherwise, she's going to lose money. Then I was like, what's happening? So why are you not aware of what is happening? So I went to check. I think it was a week or two ago. I realized that, and happily so, that the dollar had dropped to 14 point something. So from that side, following the trajectory. And then surprised, I started hearing a whole lot of reasons why. That one, because of the gold purchase program, which began in, I think, May of last year, and still ongoing. Because of that, the dollar is reducing. And then my question was, for a program that started from May, if it was solely the reason, that is, we should have seen some significant depreciation or appreciation of the cedi before His Excellency John Mahama took over. Then mention was made of the US-China trade war. So I want to check that also. I realized that since the beginning of the year, the US dollar has depreciated up to about 5.1%. So I quickly calculated the rate of appreciation of the cedi. And I realized that the US dollar has depreciated 15.1% against the cedi. And so there's a clear difference of about 10. Then for me, what you told me was that it couldn't just have been the US-China trade war. Also, I quickly then checked the performance of the cedi against the euro, and because if it was just the US, then it shouldn't be doing so well against the euro, against the pound. And I realized that also against the euro, against the pound, it's doing well. And so the issue is, the argument that is because of the so-called trade war or the overall depreciation of the cedi of the dollar globally cannot be the reason. Because in any case, just in Ghana, the dollar has depreciated by 15.1%. That is 10 points. So then for me, sitting down, I recalled that last year, in most of our communication here, we all accepted, or I made a point, that what was at stake in the 2024 election was for us to restore confidence in the economy. You understand? Because of the terrible leadership or non-leadership of the previous government, we've gotten to stages where even basic principles in economics, I'm sure they will do a better job at that, he's a technical guy, basic, very, very fundamental principles that the economy 101, that the best place to, the most secured place to place your money, to loan your money, was government. And in Ghana, even that basic principle had been breached by the DDEP, where monies that people had given to the government in belief that that was the safest place to place their monies, had been breached, thereby killing the confidence the people of Ghana had in the economy. Because we need to understand that when it comes to the management of the economy, it's a confidence game. If your people lose confidence in your ability to manage your economy, the economy is gone. It's also important to put into perspective the fact that between 2016 and 2024, FDIs, foreign direct investments, reduced from almost $3 billion to about $600 million. So by the time Joanna was taking over, FDIs were around just about $600 million. You had the cocoa sector, which was practically dead. Because we all know that when the dollar is depreciating, you hear people say, oh, we are waiting for the syndication, about 2.1 billion. Last, I don't know whether any syndication was done. confidence was so low that cocoa production had reduced drastically. Also, between January 7th and now, I don't think local production can be so significant as to also impact this radical appreciation of the cedi against the dollar. So the question is that what has happened? You understand? For me, I think when I analyze it, it reaffirms my belief in the very negative leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo. It's sad that the MPP is blamed because they also play their role. As a party, they sat down and allowed Nana Addo to deliver a leadership which, for all intents and purposes, is very parochial in nature. Their focus was not, or did not do things that was in the best interest of the country per se. They are following their personal agenda. And it's sad that today Murtala will sit here and say that the New Patriotic Party were fraudulent when they use the name patriotic. But that argument can be supported when you consider just the last 8 years. And it's sad that the party sat down and allowed such parochial leadership. Because when you consider intently why the cedi is appreciating, I think essentially my view is about the ingenuity by governments to create confidence in the economy by just some few statements. That statement that, listen, going forward, buffer stock, school feeding, or purchase locally produced products. What that did immediately was, without increasing production of anything, to reduce the demand on the dollar. Immediately. You reduce demand on the dollar. And it sent a signal. Well, I said, this is a confidence game. It sent a very positive signal that, listen, we are not going to, more or less, at least for that sector, depend on importation. So if you are holding dollar, or if you are going, that burden was taken away. Very, very smart. Now, also, if you consider that sometime in November, that's the Bank of Ghana. Because see, when obviously the don is here, so you do a far better job. But when you define the economy in very basic terms, the state of every country in terms of its production and consumption of goods and services and the supply of money, and we know that the role that every government plays in every economy is one in terms of its fiscal policy, which the government itself does, as in the president through his finance minister, and monetary policy. And the monetary policy is done by the Bank of Ghana. So beyond the gold purchasing program, which really has led to the I think between May to now that there has been an increment from about between 22 tons to about 31 tons. Certainly that has helped. But also in November, I think Bank of Ghana brought a policy that restricted investments by pension funds into offshore accounts, into offshore markets. I think that policy has been maintained, and so like I said, this government, having analyzed the issues, have discarded off with programs which were not beneficial to the state, and have maintained, indeed have even enhanced those that were beneficial. You understand? And that's why when you are making the analysis, it boils down to leadership. Or it boils down to leadership that has the interest of the country at heart. Because whereas what was pushing one leader, you understand? And I hope the MPP will find a way of dealing with that issue. Because if you ask me, I think it's so, in a way, the party has to be blamed, but it's quite unfair that the party will have to take flak for a group of people's bad leadership. Because clearly you have one leader who, for now at least, over the past few months, 5 months in power, I can confidently say that they are pursuing programs that, in my view, are in the best interest of the country. You understand? And for 8 years, we were under a leadership that was fueled by what was in their personal best interest. And so we are seeing this improvement in the performance of the city, not because there has been any, in my view, because within 4 or 5 years is a very short time, because already, in fact, I don't think the 24-hour economy and its benefits has even kicked in, because so far as I'm concerned, they are still putting together the framework. But this clear evidence of what can happen by a president giving proper leadership that builds the confidence of the people in the economy. Because over the past few years, people actually, I know people who, when they got their money, deliberately purchased dollar because they didn't trust in the city. They didn't trust in the city. So if after just 5 months, people are dumping their foreign exchange on the market, they rather have the city. You understand? Then we cannot take it for granted that it's a matter of luck. Clearly, people are responding to a better leadership. The market is responding. You understand? And so, if by just the provision of proper leadership, without necessarily increasing local productivity and all, can cause the city to respond in this manner, then we should be really angry at Nado for the terrible leadership they gave us. And we should commend the president clearly, because in my opinion, and like I'll say it again, I was saying it, maybe I'm sure we'll be bored. I know they don't, as you can see, you scribble something, but you go into the technicalities. I see you scribble so many things here. You understand? But when some people say that leadership, everything is about leadership, and we are seeing clear evidence of saying. Because when you listen to Mutala from government, he didn't come and say that, oh, we've increased the production of poultry by this. We have increased the production of rice by this. But what he said clearly, and I think it's something we should pay attention to, that from President Kofo's time up until when they left power in 2016, we're spending closely average around $500 million dollars on the potential of just rice and poultry. Now that rose to about 3 billion. I don't think it has reduced drastically, because 5 months is too short a time to have a radical or a seismic reversion back to what it used to be. So if even without that, the CD has managed to rise up to about 15.1%, and just imagine what can happen where their campaign promise of bringing in place policies that one will reduce our dependency on the exportation of chicken, on the importation of rice can do. So I think it can maintain. I'm very hopeful. I hope it can maintain, because what it tells me is that whatever they are doing that is causing the city to gain strength, they must not change. In terms of whatever they are doing to cause people to be confident in the economy, they must not stop doing that. Also, the technical policies, like I mentioned, that policy to put some kind of to put restrictions on fund managers in investing in offshore, it should be maintained. The gold purchasing program, it should be increased, and the fiscal. No, they have undertaken a fiscal consolidation program also. All of these are the reasons why the city seem to be gaining strength. It means that indeed even the depreciation was probably artificial, because of bad leadership, terrible leadership. That's why the city was at some point last around October, it was around 17 city. It went as low as 17.7 or so. So even within a space of about 7 months, It can rebound not because we've increased productivity or anything, but because of the signal that has been given. That one, we are not going to import rice for feeding our schools. Buffer stock is not going to import rice. We are going to purchase locally made rice. If that reduction by just word, by just policy, you understand, can reduce demand, the pressure on the dollar, then they should maintain that. And if they're able to maintain that, because the question is, how do you sustain this? To sustain this is one, by just maintaining what you are doing that is causing a rebuild of the confidence of the people of this country in there. Because my brother here mentioned speculation, 100%. So it means that when the cedi got to 17 cedis, 17.7, clearly the people of Ghana didn't have confidence in their own currency anymore.
People were changing more.
Yeah, so they rather store, what's it called, dollars, and they hold it. But so the increasing the demand and reducing the supply, already the supply was slow because people, anytime they understand. So I'll just tax the president that one, he needs to indeed enhance what they are doing that is causing confidence to be built in the economy of this country. You understand? Now, having done that, then they must deliberately also undertake policies that will substitute, that will cause us to produce, and by so doing substitute the kind of things we import. So one, if we are spending around 3 billion on rice and on poultry, then clearly there must be clear policies that will increase the production of these two commodities. They must do that. They must also tackle the SME side, deliberately build the small and medium scale what's called enterprises. Because I believe strongly that, at least from what I've seen, that if we do the right things, maybe we can cause the dollar to even come into single digits. It's not the inflation that will come to single digit, but the dollar to come to single digit. And so for me, I think if there's a time to call for us to sing from the same hymn sheet, irrespective of your party, because all these negative noises, and they will feel, and we don't need what's it called, rough land, and it doesn't help any of us. Because you can see the price of fuel dropping, not just because of this dollar issue. You can see, so it is in our collective interest that the economy does well. And like Bamia said, and he rightly said, that you can do all the propaganda you want. If your exchange rate is, when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. You understand? So if you go by that his principle, that means that the exchange rate, which is doing better, is reflective of the entire health of our economy. So I think, and my brother here, I know I've been in this party before, the party as it is now. I know when he comes and he praises the situation, don't be too happy with him. But at least he tried to balance the act. So he prays some more, but you also point some more. You understand? We are so that at least the party, the Hawks, won't come after him. They don't myself were there before, so we understand you. But we are just in 2025. Yes, we are in 2025. So there's time when you play partisan politics, and there's time when you build. And to build is not just the duty of the party in power to build; it's all of our duty as Ghanaians to build this country. So if we have correct leadership, it's clearly showing the way, then I think it's just wise that we all lend our support, we all lend our energies in that effort to build the country. Because, like I said, and I'm going to reiterate it, that in my opinion, this massive performance of the cedi so far is just because of leadership in rebuilding confidence. But I shouldn't stop there. We must now put in place the building blocks that will enhance our productivity, that will put us in a place where we can sustainably have inflows of this foreign what's called exchange. You understand? To further drive down the city, to build that strong economy where all of our individual ambitions can find place in. And to do that, the president should continue providing the way. He should continue giving the right policies, as in he can borrow from our great, already we have given him a copy, the great transformational plan. As I mentioned SME, as in deliberately aiding SMEs, enhancing or creating a system where we can have real growth. Once we do that, then I believe that not only are we going to sustain this, we are going to bring the dollar down further for all of our benefits. So I think for me it's an appropriate time to call on all Ghanaians that let's come together, let's sing from the same hymn sheet. Let's build our country and let's create a situation where Ghana will be in the best position to reclaim its place as the Black Star of Africa.
Thank you very much. And so far there's been limited commentary from the Bank of Ghana, but the one we've heard has been from the first deputy governor who says this is not a fluke. They intend to do anything, all they can, to ensure that these gains continue. But Absa Bank is saying that they are still projecting that the CD will finish to the dollar, the rate to be 14 cedis. This is their projection, that the CD will end the year at 14 cedis to the dollar. That's from Absa. But this is the Bank of Ghana, two statements that they've issued. One is about the CD, and it said on 19 July 2025, the CD will mark 60 years as Ghana's sole legal tender since its issuance on 19 July 1965 to replace the Ghanaian pound as the sole legal tender in Ghana. The CD has remained a strong symbol of Ghana's economic sovereignty and development. To adapt to the changing demands of the Ghanaian economy, the CD has evolved through several modifications in form and policy direction over the last 6 years. Ghana's tenacity, innovation, and quest for economic stability are well embodied in the CD's reforms, from the first notes and coins to the safe currency we use today. In recognition of this important milestone, the Bank of Ghana intends to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the issue of the CD with a series of nationwide activities and engagements between July and December 2025, including official launch events, public exhibitions, educational campaigns, and stakeholder forums. The anniversary offers an opportunity for Ghanaians to reflect on the history of the CD, to celebrate the progress made, and to reaffirm our collective responsibility to protect the value and integrity of the CD. In addition to being a medium of exchange, the CD is a symbol of our pride, heritage, and shared aspirations for a prosperous future. The evolution of the CD reflects Ghana's resilience, innovation, and pursuit of a robust economy. Those are portions of that statement. Then there's another statement that was issued by the Bank of Ghana. This one was on what happens, the restrictions to the use of the dollar within the economy. This is what the Bank of Ghana says. It says, pursuant to the Bank of Ghana's mandate under the Foreign Exchange Act 2006 at 723 and associated notices, the Bank of Ghana wishes to inform the public as follows. Over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currency from foreign exchange accounts and foreign currency accounts are allowed. For non-FEA and non-FCA account holders, foreign purchases for travel outside Ghana are allowed but capped at $10,000 or its equivalent per person per trip. This must be supported by a valid passport, visa, and confirmed travel ticket as indicated in BOG notice number, and the notice dates back to 2014 in September. Checks and checkbooks may continue to be issued on FEA and FCA accounts. The bank has not contemplated reviewing these existing measures. All banks and public are advised to take note and comply accordingly. Of course, I'll read your statements at the conclusion of this very first discussion about what you think about this whole discussion about the CD performing very well against the major trading currency. Exactly what is in it for you, and then whether that can be sustained. What does that mean? Because we're asking for reduction in prices. Traders are also fighting back, saying that they haven't seen enough to convince them to start reducing prices. Me, good morning.
Good morning, Sina. Let me greet your viewers and those listening on radio. Also to greet my colleagues here, Honorable Mutala. It's been a while. I think he has been busy. and my brother here, Lawyer Appiah Danquah, and then Sabo.
Do you know the meaning of Sabo?
No.
Yeah, he's never told you.
No, he's never told.
Something new.
Okay. Oh, I see. Then something new really has happened. Well, I think that it's refreshing. What is going on? It's very refreshing. We'll want to go back in terms of history of the cedi and how we got here. I mean, the cedi has had many tribulations in the past. We were using the West African pound sterling, and at that time the cedi was not in existence. I think it was under our first president that the cedi came into existence, and when the cedi was introduced, it was a strong currency against the US dollar. In fact, it was, you need more dollars. You need about 1.5 dollars to obtain one cedi, because at that point the cedi was pegged against the pound sterling. Then subsequently there was change of government and all that. We had what we call the new cedi. The decision also to peg the cedi against the US dollar and further deteriorated and all that. It was only in the Achampon regime that we saw some appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar, and that was when President Kutu Achampon also decided that the cedi be pegged with gold. Okay. So you can see where it has come from, and the mention of gold back then and the mentioning of gold today. Okay. Well, again, in 2016, under the ex-royal government of President Akufo-Addo, I mean, the NDC bequeathed $4.0969 dollar rates to the new government of led by Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, who had promised to do better. Now, better means that reversing the trend, that the cedi would see an appreciation and not a depreciation. At the same time, in May, the cedi had already depreciated by 3% in 2017 May. So today's narratives are not the same as yesterday's. That point must be made, and must be made clearly. As to whether somebody did part of the job or not, government, we all understand, is a going concern. At the end of the day, if whatever you did not reflect under your government, then you should be asking yourself certain questions. Why did it not reflect? Why did I take gold from 2022, gold reserve around 3 billion to 31 billion, and still did not get the results? That question needs to be answered by yourself. I think the NPP need a lot of introspection to do and ask themselves a lot of questions. Why did they, and not really waste time with what is going on? I think they need to ask themselves, and it will help them to recover from wherever they find themselves in. By December 2018, the cedi had depreciated close to about 17%, right? And I choose 2018 for a reason, because by the time in 2019, when the NPP was out of the IMF program, what they did was to go out there and borrow, and they will borrow more of backed US dollar debt, and that also puts a lot of pressure on our currency. Mind you, we are out of the international market, and therefore whatever we are doing today, we are depending solely on our cedi in terms of the OMO operations by BOG and what have you. So we are not out there borrowing and increasing our debts, albeit we have also deferred debt payment in terms of foreign currencies. So yes, we have that space, and I would again go back to our exports and imports. Imports have dwindled. It's coming down as compared to export that is going up. What it means is that we are experiencing more inflow of foreign currency today than the evacuation of US dollars or demand on the US dollars for us to settle our bills and all that. Again, I have heard the mentioning of gold for oil, gold for oil. Again, I will say there was nothing like gold for oil. And this is not my statement, and I wish I could read from the 2022 annual report of Bank of Ghana, when they did say, in fact, that the gold for oil is linked with the gold purchase program, and for that matter, they are either going to do it through barter or a broker channel. True barter is that for the want of convenience, you have gold, I have oil. You need my oil and I need your gold, and therefore we exchange, and it is convenient for all of us. Albeit that will still have been done by a unit of account, which would have been the US dollar. Now, the Bank of Ghana specifically mentioned, and I think note 41 of their annual report, that we have chose to do this by a broker channel. Which broker is it? Go to 12B of the Bank of Ghana's annual report 2022, and they have stated that they put our gold, about 155,000 ounces of gold, forward for financing at the BSI, the Bank for International Settlement, and we were paying interest of 4.5% per annum. So that was a financing. Again, although gold was mentioned, that was still like going out there to borrow and pay interest, which all puts a pressure on the economy in terms of the demand for USD and what have you. Today, as we speak, gold prices are on the rise, and it is so because of what is happening on the international stage. Cocoa have seen a lot of improvement in pricing as well, and all that culminates in the fact that we have about monthly imports, export of about 2 billion, as against an import about between 1.2 1.5 billion. So certainly the narratives then are not the same as today. A lot of people have also mentioned the fact that the dollar performance, and when you check the dollar index, the DXY and all that, shows that the dollar has fallen. Yes, the dollar fell a year ago around between 5 to 7%. Not against the cedi, not against the naira. The DXY is not based on any of these currencies, including ours. It is based on the yen, the euro, the crown, and other currencies, the Canadian dollar, and what have you. That is the baskets that is used in measuring the dollar strength. So when we talk of the DXY, it is not really about the cedi. So you can have the dollar falling against these other currencies that in the basket, and yet it will not fall against your currency. What is happening today, and like you said, pull or push, what is happening today is basically demand. We have enough to satisfy the demand of the system, and therefore there is no need to hustle, to go out there looking for more dollars at a certain price, which then becomes a higher price to buy the US dollars. So this is purely based on demand. Now, the issue we need to ask ourselves is that what has government done, and why the results we are getting? Today, if you go to our treasury bill market, right, inflation sits at 21%. Our MPR rate is 28%. We have BOG issuing the 56 days bond, almost I think around 26%. You have the 91 day around 14-15%, the 100, but when you look at the 365, it provides a returns for you in terms of inflation, which is around 25%. So yes, people are more prepared to put their money in time savings than to put their money in currency. So we must also admit that in this short period, we have been able to sustain a better positioning in terms of our M2 plus, how we have handled money. We have not increased money like before, when money was increased to about 35%. And with this country history, anything beyond 16%, we begin to have issues. Then we talk of the gold board. I think the gold board is too new to have its, to have itself meddled in these issues. But what we must talk about is our gold exports. The volumes have all of a sudden increased. Why? If the volumes have increased, it means that these volumes were there already. If you understand gold production, it doesn't take a day to produce that volume of gold. So these volumes were there already. These volumes were being exported already. Probably it was not through the appropriate channels. And now it is going through the appropriate channels. And the currency is coming directly, the foreign currency is coming directly through the formal channel and sitting with our reserves. And therefore, that also helps a lot in terms of what we are seeing today. Clearly, you cannot take it away from the physical side as well. When we have put expenditure in check, the cause of our economic overheating has always been caused largely by the physical side. I think expenditure is being controlled better than it used to be, and that is helping issues. And then again, you can clearly see that the physical side does not dominate the monetary policy side. In the past, that's not what we saw. We saw a finance minister who wielded so much power that his decision at the physical side was really affecting our monetary policy, and yet those at the monetary side couldn't do anything about it. Here you feel that yes, the synergy between the two in terms of monetary policy and fiscal policy, it's something which is good and must continue. The moment one becomes an oppressor of the other, then we would have issues. So you could clearly tell in the past that the physical side demands more money, so the BOG went ahead and actually produced more money for government to spend. And that was part of the issues we have had in the past. It is not the same today, and that is good, and that is also helping the position we find ourselves in. The other issue we would have to look at is how sustainable would this experience going forward look like. I know that there will be more pressure on the physical side going forward to spend. I also know that there would come a time when there will be more pressure on the monetary side to also finance the activities of the physical. I know that there will be a greater call on our reserves. We have built reserves to the tune of over 9 billion, which is good, looking at the past, what we had done. But there will be a claim on government. There are obligations government going into the future must actually stand up to it and face it. And that will bring pressures. It is good today. We are enjoying what we are experiencing, but there will come a tough time. What we need to do to sustain it is to create buffers today for tomorrow. So the reserves we are putting up, the gold that is giving this economy, the investors of this economy, some comfort and confidence that they can deal with us, they can bring money in and all that in their private capacity, and know that we have enough gold to actually weather the storm if it comes. All this, there will be pressure on going forward. What are the buffers we need to create? We need to make sure that when we are done with this IMF program, we don't recklessly go onto the international markets to borrow again, like it was done between 2019 and 2020. We must make sure that we close down on our overall deficit in terms of the physical side. We must continue with our OMO operations with the Bank of Ghana and ensure that at all times we finance whatever project we want to finance internally rather than externally. It is sweet to have the loans coming in when they are dollars and all what have you, but it comes with a larger responsibility to take on. We should also put our M2 plus, our money supply, in check. We should ensure that at all times we go for the appropriate policies, not to deplete our demand deposits and shore up our foreign currency deposits, because that is exactly what happened somewhere in February 2022. And also, we should manage speculation and manage it well. Those handling our various institutions in terms of the physical and monetary, between the finance ministry, between the finance ministry and the BOG, the language should always be right, not to cause any panic. Because as we speak today, if there is any run on the US dollar today, the rates will start going up again. No matter the reserves you have there, if if there should be a run today on the dollar, and we all panic and say, hey, it looks like it's going to go up and blah, 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 blah. Like what you read from APSA. Yes, it's a nice warning, but it is not needed. It is a very good warning. It is most possible that is going to happen. Okay. Getting to the end of the year, from August and all that, there will be pressure. People will start importing more towards Christmas and all that and what have you. But it is not needed, because if we do well to sink the rate downwards, coming up, right, to a certain level will take some time and space, and it affords us a good planning environment when that happens. But when you start throwing this in the open, then it also creates issues for the same economy. What we need to understand is that demand is low. Okay. We have good buffers today. Our reserves are solid. There is no pressure on government to spend in terms of USD and other foreign currencies.
So, NDC, MPP communicator, now some more. It tells you, say, Urano, Oyobia, he is ignorant. And I know no one okasao. Sana MPP forms is your ma cycle margin. Oma catch from say, so muina echo communication. Omonka say, the seed na and what the echo for no. Any NDC for enomoye. That is the new jandam in town. Obin kanjo kata chefi fa so me show no. Or may for the record show no ye biache. Jandama MPP communicators na tenase Richard Ahiagwa Timbi, Miraculous Denis Abwaji Timbi, and the other communicators na Timbi MPs, former MPs na Timbi, Almaye Enise. Concerning the strength of the cedis against the dollar no, Enise TMU. Omukotene TV so and radio so and social media. There was some can say. Say dollar na ho den ekofo no. The trade war koso. On say oman bia international dwadie no sika hia dodo pa dollar. And dollar no so yewura Donald Trump buy the tariffs to China for so. Even Ghana for crying idea. I think it's 10%. Or the two almost so say be a dwadie no. Omo ebetimi secure omo internal benefits. Now the other country no omo di dwa so omo so in some way no omo beton ma dia omo ho ebekire omo kakra. Nti when na China tenase mu say there be o hwe na China say enye kuru ketwa ye nyama ketwa ye China for ye dawson. We are the most populated country or in the world. And yes, we enter on Donald Trump and almost Tenasicasio. Yes, we had to be better years into the talk, yes, we had the two. Into so by couldn't so beton. Ha ha, also in Tibet. When I conference in Samaba, MPP for sorry, I was saying, just MPP for the no mobile fund to Quahum, say a trade war, say a word war, say a Russian Ukraine will be or more related to the dollar ratio. Almost sorry, I say, no, and I'm $1 Namum, anye NDC for, anye yura kese la to force ni modimbo bi obonu baby, anye Sami Jemfi Gold Board Director and CEO, the Jumadi bi odini wo baby. Namum, yesa Jumadi na ana sa to kwano trade war na nyen to kwa physical trade war yaka dwadi mu to kwanta wantawa. Saa de no ena akofa sa ne mani na aba. Tadi na akofa ne mani na aba. Ena Ghana for si MPP for muma e break akro. Mo si eno na akofa we abanti emfa credit mandi sana. Na aban be na tiso. Aban be na tiso. Okay, break mu misam MPP for. Mu ida fi say safer enso say eswati euros uni say that 12 euros the 13 uni say euros so 20 dollars that 12 euros the 13 uni say euros swati uni say first swati munim say Nigeria for ye ne omo editwaka ene Nigeria for sika no nim say so akọ amina hode na akọ edinti a Nigeria for ye ne omo bohye ye Togo bohye ye ne Cote d'Ivoire bohye na omo sika ni nyina ahode akọ fom na trade war no still na mo see Ghana nkwane affected MPP for ye nyankoda o se bi njimi ye enti we na Ghana for ka say hey saade na mo ye no munjai se ye dum sa o se ye ko mahama se ye dollar na swatia o si enye mahama aden what kind of hatred is that MPP monko aden na John Mahama yemo monko aden na ndisi ayemo ato forcing se ayi ne kan ye afenyo nso afenyo makin MPP fo afi de mu yebi okrom ha no afi de mu dwi mu ho enti abusian fo. To cut a long story short, no, MPP ewu MPP entusu da say NDC beba within the shortest possible of time. This dollar, cedi bruhaha no, cedi the bebu kama fa dollar no so. Omo ti kuroma omo de omo sika ina akototo dollars ena ehihye omo mpaase ena ebi hihye omo sunya ase dollars sisira abna dollar dapa sisi abna dollar dapa omayehu different currencies ni demu. It tells you so no crampo a oyo ba ena no se sika we and the other members no maka na omusika omwade na chese abusia buru enti sankofo we no mahode na ma dollar no kosuru gidigidi no ba ne gold board no ba no yewura sami gemfi omototo gold omuntimi nsumogere sankofo na nkasa entimi nsumogere gold no nko na omunsan enkoton fa dollars na mehihye omo ho ha no omudi toto fie ni ntino ene ama dollar no ahodi fuo hware se hwi. I'm telling you that is the secret until you say MPP ni bia ka say trade war hwan war masa sini hu boa that is entro na oka entro na oka entro no di what you say gold board na abano anka yewra Dr. Muhammad Bomi akwa nanka opesa odi ni nam ho but ono no wansu economics o just a theoretical onim practical enti wantimi anye de antimi amfama on grounds ono no sha say gold for oil purchasing na ade amfa because no onim kutuko mfa kranship omo mudi na chi na so ti bonkosofo omo gidwombo akonom omo nyina ma bon omo ntimi nyehwe masa enti who say man no dey NDC for ato force omo ye adwuma ene me hwe papa kan de Japan one of the biggest fan payura Daddy Fred no obo NDC for abaso say hey dollar na abaso de moya de abafo ni de moya de in fact NDC for enti ewra kan de Japan na ono nkasa ono na sa announcer owura na fi Daddy Fred enanso no ewra kan de compare kwa Japan papa okopiem New Jersey court ewura $500 man needing the same anas $500 man anas na no me who post be bi say agrada atena kuruma agi $800 anas afro plane etwa aboka akwaji $500 ye papa kra so be mano 10 is it $1,000 papa kwa wachi ni bi me man tekukura anasi bi who too much na wo member ba ko went me anya ho hwe up to now yen hu case ni baby akoduru enka wo kwa na wo say one anso ugigina mo na sa wo member no wu ye on 5th of January 2019 who is Ahmed Swali wo wu ye no enka wo anso na wo so ugina mo enti ade ntia wo anso ntimi ngina mo ade na ekoso yemfo mi pese mekasa enti na chese dollar rate ni de MPP ni bia megire yani so nka nche se trade war ye hwan trade war amasa omo so penso den ena sa ni man bia nkoso enti ne say trade war kwa NDC for no mojo samba omopo mo nko stop trade war no na dollar ne nko so ne emu say NDC for abon mutimi yes a credit na ebe mo even bi kura ne nam say yo mo no mo ye mo no mo set nti omo nka so mo anu ye mienu we ebo see trade war so say ye set foundation net ho NDC for be fa so look at this. Look at this. Look at this maya things. Look at this maya people. Masa munja asawati MPP for. Ayamu nkwa na mu opposition party amo power aba. Mu kwa mu free power mdabe. Mu digane sika mu ntire fi na mu enjoy why. Na munja isa propaganda ni nsem keka enyese NDC for fix your man. We okay with them. Don't forget it. Dr. Muhammad Bobi Amasa. Don't even try so be a flag bearer. Yes sir. Party na emma power bill. Ebi papa kende Japan na be flag bearer party bit me power. As for Baumia, dear forget it. Uniamfa. Baumia. They say, Wadana Ibia view. Wadana tinte who go for pushy no. Rose. Nanado me who baby go for piano to one more piano to one. Wadana chubi. Anyway, if I comment it like it, share enough for friendly be Hanum, area number 1 authentic platform, make TV go say the best of news. Yankopon and Koswa and Shroud. Mess be like it. Now share now subscribe to the channel no media megiswa and mega me ma me cheba for Yankopon Shroud or United States of America. Ma me roya be UK and will be a negative. I said it too. Bye bye.